Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hopefully,
No, it's fine, it's 6 o'clock.
Secretary, note that all members of the board are here. And we have the agenda in front of us. I would like to add to the agenda under new business, discussion of the inclement weather closing policy. Is it okay with everyone?
Yeah.
We have that, it was distributed prior. You may have a copy with you. Okay, so with that added to the agenda, are there any other changes, instructions, or are we open?
There's really nothing to discuss on security cameras. I've not gotten any more information than what I've already shared. Unless you want to continue with, based on what we already have.
No, why don't we just get a quick update when we get into the new business section? Would that be all right?
Sure.
Okay. Now, with that in mind, we'll keep those two items on, and I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll move. I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there's adopt. We have minutes from the meeting of 11/26/24. Those were posted to all of us by Maggie. Do we have any changes or corrections to those minutes?
I'm there.
You okay with it?
Yeah.
Okay, Josh?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Alan, second?
I'll second.
Second, Janice, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. President's report. I got only three quick things. Robert, our attorney, has suggested, and agreed that we should apply for a permanent charter from the Education Department when our current provisional charter expires, which is May 4th of 2025. So my research so far indicates we should begin that process 4 months in advance. So in early January, I'll form a small committee of the board, including you, Marion, to proceed with the process. There is plenty of information and guidance to help with this. I've been accumulating it, so I don't think it'll be a major issue, but I think we need a few more folks involved just beyond me. Secondly, I currently hold two positions for the library in the New York State Local Retirement System. We call that NICEMERS. I'm the contract administrator and I'm the security administrator, and there are specific duties that are related to each of those particular positions. I have asked our Vice President Janice to work with me in assuming some of these duties, and we will report to you in a future meeting as to how we're going to split that up. There is lots of communication from the NICEMERS people, and in my opinion, a rather convoluted access system. So we have the need for more than just me to keep up with it all. So we're going to work on that in January. And finally, and most important, I want to add my congratulations to Marion and the staff for their second place honor in the Hadley Tree Contest. If you haven't already, stop by the park, take a look. It was great. Thank you. So that is my report.
Congratulations.
Okay, do we have a VP Finance? Yes, sir.
Yep. Want to jump around here a little bit this evening.
Some numbers in front of us.
In regards to getting these furnaces cleaned, I did have the privilege of running into Kenny Williams, and I asked him if he'd please come and do it, seeing this other individual never even responded after he promised he'd be here. So Kenny came and we got a bill for $650.50. And that's regards to cleaning both these furnaces, and he stated very clearly to me that these haven't been attended and taken care of in a long, long time. He also brought to my attention and had some photos of it, of the chimney where the exhaust of the furnaces go out. It's in bad shape. So I tracked down an individual that does this for a living. He's going to be here on December 27th to go up through the chimney and take photos of it, and then get back to us in regards to if it's necessary to take further action or not. Also, the Southern Adirondack Libraries, you'll see, last item, it's, 2025 salon overdrive fees. Just so the board knows, that's a 55% increase. It was 829.51, now it's 1289.20. I know the girls I spoke to Claire this evening, and I spoke to Marion, and it's something that's used here continuously, so I guess we're just gonna have to go along with it, but it is a pretty heavy expense.
So did they give any indication of the reason for such a major increase?
I think Marion, you could highlight on that better than I could if you want to.
It's based on our usage.
Oh,
What you're thinking?
It's also due to the separation of the CPL libraries.
Right, the other library stepped out
they're
of it,
leaving.
Yeah.
Right,
we're gonna get hit.
So it's redistributing.
But we didn't have, when we were closed and all, we didn't have a great deal of usage, so our fees. were
but they're basing it on the
lower.
they're basing it on our 2024 usage and our fees, if I understood them correctly at the meeting we had this morning, that for 2026, they will continue to be based on our 2024 usage stats to help lessen things, because, you know, we've lost Schenectady County.
Okay,
They are officially withdrawn. We no longer have them.
gone. Okay.
Yes, and JA is still working out all the details, with that, and, they're also reviewing our agreement between Cells and MBLS. So, but I think usage is up.
Well, the fact that usage is up is good.
Yeah.
The fact that we have to pay for it, well,
Yeah,
that's okay too, but okay.
Understandable.
All right, sure.
All right, going on.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it to the board tonight that we're gonna need to take another $10,000 out of the, interest-bearing account, and put it in our operational account. As after tonight, we've got a couple big bills coming up
Okay.
in the first part of January. Okay, just so everybody knows that. And then I wanted to ask the board, the last 2 months, we've given, the library $1,000 to add to petty cash, making it $1,250. And I didn't know if that was necessary in January, what the board felt, or what Marion felt she needed to have for the month of January, so I did not include that in our expenses.
well, I did not spend the whole 1250 in December. I mean, I never know. And I know we call it a petty cash account. I don't think that's a great name for it. More of my operating account. It's nice to have. I have the receipts. I think I've proven I'm pretty good at keeping the receipts
Yep.
handy. I'm still kind of learning how all this goes and how much money is needed on a monthly basis. We do have some exciting programs that we're hoping to plan, we're implementing. I'll talk about it more in my report, but we have some exciting ideas coming up for programming and whatnot, so.
What's the downside of allowing that extra money to be there?
Well, I just didn't know, I mean, I just didn't know, I know we felt that we needed extra money because of the fall festival
Right,
and the holiday events. And I just didn't know if there wasn't much coming on, if we wanted to decline that a little bit or keep it at $1,000 or instead of $1,250. I just didn't feel I should take it upon myself. I figured the board had to have input in that. Right now, she's got $322 in there as of the 13th. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's up to the board. I don't want to make that decision myself.
Why don't we at least do it for another month and then
see what happens.
that's what we're doing. I mean, the whole reason kind of for that is that we still haven't solved the issue of a
On the card.
purchase order card or credit card or whatever, right? That, so we're still working on that, I guess.
Well,
So-
some discussion of that tonight.
Oh, there's some discussion
We got it
tonight.
on the
Okay.
agenda, but we'll see.
I just didn't know if I
Yeah.
understood it correctly. That was
Yeah.
So you
in lieu of,
$1,250, you want 1,000, whatever. Just so I know.
I suggest 1,000.
Just 1,000,
1,000,
I can do that three, yeah, we can do
that
that,
work?
yep.
Okay,
Okay, so I'm gonna put that on this.
The typical is $1,250.
That's what it's been the
That's what
last,
it was.
It was
3 months.
150 for a long time. Then these holiday events and the fall foliage event, they upped it to an
It's-
extra
it-
1,000, so it was 1250, Josh, for the
Right.
last couple of months.
that, and it's also to expand my options for purchasing books at the best prices possible. Cause sometimes Brodart, which is our main provider, is not always the best price.
Okay,
Sometimes I can find better deals on Amazon or thrift books. There's two that I've worked with so far. So obviously trying to stretch the dollars as far as we can.
so,
Can I, so in Tammy's report, I don't know. Yeah. In Tammy's reports, like the book budget was, we'd only hit like 5% or something. Is
I
that
know,
accurate
but
or
no,
something?
it is not.
No, okay, so I was
No.
like, maybe that's because we're paying for
because-
books out of a different budget line and I got
No,
confused.
I gotta look at that a lot closer. Because I've just been keeping track when I order it, but I'm. Like, say I order $900 worth of adult fiction books, they don't all come in at once. I might get 3 or 4 invoices just for the adult books. So I've gotta figure out a new system for that to make it, so I can make sense with what she's saying. But also, she's doing it through the end of November, and I've had several invoices come in set after the 1st of December.
Okay, okay,
So there's always gonna be kind of a little bit like a 30-day lapse possibly.
gotcha.
was 1,000 enough?
Is 1,000 enough? I'll tell you what, if I get before the next board meeting, I need more, I'll let you know.
Okay,
I don't know. I'm, like I
Well,
said,
you
I'm
got
still,
1,500.
I feel like I'm building the plane while I'm flying it.
all right,
Okay, then I'm gonna add 1,000 just to the bills.
Okay.
So the board knows tonight.
okay. Everybody okay with that? Do we need a vote? I don't think we need a vote. Okay, you're all right with that, Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
excellent.
Colin, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
I have a new copy of our contract with, Waterhouses.
Yeah.
Do we have a signed contract? Cause I don't have a copy of that, if we do. I'm assuming either. you
I don't think so.
had to
Yeah.
sign it.
I don't know. I didn't sign anything. I mean, I don't-
Is that something that he wants us to do? For the budget plan?
Budget plan?
Yeah,
I can ask him.
cause he gave us, I mean, you gave me. He gave me this new one to sign. I gave you a copy of it. I probably gave you the original, but. Just wanna make sure we don't fall behind on that again.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
Is that on there for this
I
one?
know we're not gonna.
Yeah, sure.
I just got a bunch of stuff from him. And I'm trying to put it. Put it in here.
Wait a minute.
I'll go ahead. I'll
He's excellent to work with. I'm sure he'll let us backtrack and.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he already has, yeah.
I got
Right
one,
here. I've got it all right here. Invoice and everything, the credit and how it's broke down on the monthly basis. And we're using around 18 to 20 gallons of oil a day here. Right now.
looking at your, second page with the deposits and assets and so on. The 16,000 in the operating checking, is that sufficient as we go each month? Is that, I mean, we're keeping it at a certain.
Well, that's why tonight,
Trying to avoid.
that's why I stated tonight, we need to add 10
The
to
10.
it.
Does that reflects the 10?
No,
No.
10's gonna go into
You're
that.
gonna add the 10, okay. So
Right,
that
fine.
then goes forward.
Transfer it as of tonight.
Okay, we'll be there, all right.
We've got some big bills coming
Yeah.
up.
All right,
Is it helpful at all, Colin, if we turn the heat down, like even on like Saturday for the 2 days that we're not here?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Anything that we can do to cut costs on that. And I was gonna bring this, I'll bring it up under new business, some other stuff. So that's my report for tonight. Thank you.
any other questions or do we normally approve this report?
Yes.
I think so.
We do.
Yeah.
For,
I-
it's like paying the bills,
Any
right?
further questions? And, okay,
All right.
When you transfer money out of the high interest, are we approving that each time or are you just doing that?
I try to get approval here, John.
Okay, so as a part of approving the actual bills as well, we're approving that 10,000.
who's that 10,000? Yeah, right.
No, sometimes you only have to put 5 or not any, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's been
Depends
so
on
many
what's
that
co- what's
haven't moved
coming
any
up.
money.
For sure.
Try to keep the interest, because we're making good interest on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right. Any other further questions, discussion? I'll entertain a motion to approve
I'll make a motion.
Yes,
Second?
second? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the bills will get paid. That's good. Do we have a secretary's?
I do not have a report other than to say I'd be happy to serve on the, charter committee.
You would like to serve? Okay, that's
Yeah,
fine.
I'll do that.
You're on.
Sorry,
good.
there's a lot of
I don't think-
competition.
Well, no, Marion definitely gotta be on it. You and I.
Yeah, yeah,
If we have a third trustee, which we may, there's no talk, those meetings then become open.
Mhm.
Open meetings, under the open meeting laws, which is fine. It's just that, we didn't notice them, we can do that.
Mhm.
We do not, in that instance, though, need to entertain any public comment or anything. We can just be there to listen and understand what we're dealing with. So we'll see. Let me put that out. If any, you other three are interested in being part of that charter process, let me know. And we'll put you on. It's gonna be a little bit of work, and we'll probably have a few, off the grid meetings from this board, to get that accomplished, but there's plenty of assistance and plenty of help from both the education department and Sal's in the process that you go through in order to make it happen. So I don't think it's gonna be onerous, it's just gonna be a little bit of time.
I,
Okay,
one other question, Ted, we all need to do training. Did we agree that we're gonna do it in our fiscal year? Finish our trainings in the fiscal year as opposed to the calendar year?
correct. I think that's what we did the last time, yeah.
Okay.
We did fiscal year.
So we all have to do,
We have to finish up
2
our
hours.
training by the end of this fiscal year.
okay,
You
All right.
did the
Which
same
will
that I
be
did
June.
mine.
I got your stuff in June 30th. Okay, good,
Mhm.
all right. Managers report.
Okay, news and updates, some of you saw, Jordan was here. He started upgrading the lighting. You'll notice a difference even in the nonfiction room. He did not do this room. It's still nice and bright, but a lot softer, not as harsh. Also because they're LED, they will help reduce electric bills, which is good. I did reach out to Mahoney. They did send us, a deposit invoice, which Colin actually has on his report, and they're scheduling into January or February. So I imagine I will hear from them after they get the deposit to schedule us. I emailed everyone. I believe I gave Colin a hard copy. If not, I will get it to you. Changes for payroll in 2025. I don't know how much of it really affects us. But just so that you guys would have that to refer to. I received an email, about a annual financial report that the library needs to file, after the end of our fiscal year, every year. Apparently it has been 2 years since we filed one. And I have reached out to Tammy, and this is something that, well, she'll ask me if she needs any information from me, but she's got the majority of the information and she understands all the coding. And she is working on that, but like I said, we've got 2 years to,
Who does that get filed with?
the New York State Comptroller.
New York State comes from.
Yeah, so that was a lovely surprise to get.
Oh,
is she working on, last year's?
Yes,
She's doing?
yeah, she's gonna do that one, and then she'll do the one, the fiscal year that we just completed and on June 30th of this year.
Oh.
Yeah, I got an email saying, you guys are not in compliance, and I'm like, what is this?
Mhm. Well, there's no penalty. I mean,
No, there's no
we're slapping our
penalty.
wrists but we'll get it.
Right,
Right.
so,
Can I cycle back for just a second on the Mahoney?
yes,
They're gonna complete the work at some point here into January, February and get that new system on board.
right,
We agreed in one of our board meetings, and I don't know which one, that when we get that system squared away, we're gonna issue individual codes.
right,
So at that point, we will, and everybody then will have their own code in terms of the alarm system. And that way, if somebody leaves the board or there's a problem, we don't need to cancel everything. We just have to cancel that code. And it makes it a lot easier for managing it. So, I've got a list. I used a random number generator to generate the codes. And so when the time comes, unless anybody objects, I will just assign you a code under the new system. Okay?
Try to
Very good to
remember it
go.
like my pin.
What?
Yes,
So I'm gonna try to remember.
Another
like
number to
another
remember,
pin.
exactly, right on the back of the, okay, sorry, Marion.
No, you're
Thought that
fine.
was the right point to make. That point.
And, we actually were trying to host a program to have a representative from Lara come and share how to apply for a grant. We didn't have anyone show up, but she came and she chatted with me about it, and I have applied for the grant. They, did acknowledge receipt of the grant, and I will know in early March whether or not we received it. We can receive up to $5,000 to help us provide arts programming, which really fits the bill because the painting classes have been a huge hit. And I figured any little bit helps, we can maybe offer more painting classes or help us, the budget with that, so we have programming to go elsewhere. But, so I don't know, but it's my first grant, so yay.
Will that grant have any problems with respect to the fact that we do not have the 501c3?
They didn't seem to.
Okay,
But there's another one, the Stewarts offers a grant and they are looking for a 501c3 determination letter. I've reached out to Sal's, I have reached back out to Robert. Apparently we're a 170C something or other. I get the impression from him, I don't know if it's a complicated process or if it's just something he doesn't really want to do. But, he said the other way around it is if we have a friends group, which is an official thing to do, and there's legalities and everything with that, that then they become a 501c3, and that is sometimes a loophole that a lot of libraries use to get funding. The only reason this is relevant is because it's how I found out about it, but my, eldest works at Stewart's, and that's how I found out about the grant. And he said that there are a number of libraries on the list who receive funding through this. And he also noticed that our local school district receives funding. So he's like, I don't understand. He says, well, you guys wouldn't. So, there is in the application process, I can add documents. So I'm going to be writing a letter explaining to them, what we are and
Okay.
everything, and hopefully that will,
that'll suffice,
I mean, we've got nothing to lose. It costs nothing to apply.
right,
So I figure it's a gamble worth taking,
okay,
but I have until I think the end of January to do that one, so.
Okay.
The Lyric one was due by December 6th, so. And, Claire was gracious enough to drop it off on her way into work and we had them sign a paper, so we made sure they had it, and they couldn't say, oh, we didn't get it. So those are my news and updates. I feel like there was something else, but my brain just went. Anyways, items to discuss. I've already talked to a couple of you about it. It's not a huge deal. Because we've added Tammy as the only signer on the bank. I can't go in and get whole money out of the bank. I can walk outside and go to the ATM and pull it out in $20 intramurals, but I can't. Cause I was looking to pull out exactly what I needed to reimburse Taylor. Cause she used her own funds when I was on vacation and whatnot for different things. And, to reimburse her, and I couldn't do that. So I pulled out, $340. If I did not give you all the documentation, Colin, I will give it to you. I do have it. Where I have all of her receipts and it's documented how much she got back. And then there's it was like $69 and change that is in an envelope locked in my filing cabinet in case for little things like that, so that hopefully we can avoid having to reimburse massive amounts like that again. Also, you guys have, attached, I don't expect that we're necessarily gonna vote on them today. They're very much rough drafts is the inclement weather policy that I believe I did email out ahead of time. I did not email them except to Maggie. I asked her to, proof it to make sure that words made sense. Employment agreements for Claire and Taylor. Claire's, 1 year will be in February. And it'll be 6 months for Taylor in February, and my plan is to do, evaluations for them, probably right after the holidays. That would probably have a bearing on that. I don't expect the evaluations to be poor in any way. But, something that we've been talking about, and so I'm looking at putting that together. And I know the inclement weather we're gonna talk about under the other, new business.
What expectation do you have from the board relevant to these two employment agreements?
Well, you guys have to vote on whether or not you accept the compensation plan, as my understanding.
Right,
You know, the pay rate, and anything additional.
Is that a continuation of what they have been getting paid previously? Or is
Yeah,
this-
it incorporates, a raise because minimum wage goes up January 1st. And
It doesn't go up to either of these amounts though, correct?
no, it goes up 50 cents. So it's going from 15 to 15.50. So if they get a 50-cent raise, it just keeps them basically where they are right now. It's not even really a raise. But there's other things in there. They do good work. If you, just to skip down the statistics and for your request, Ted, this lovely graph Taylor, Claire made. I mean, our attendance is up, circulations are up. I mean, they're a little hot, not quite as high as they were over the summer, but they're still doing really well. Our programming, I think the number of programs we have is up, the attendance is up. This, Saturday, we had the Sweets with Santa, and we had over 100 people come in. And somebody asked me if I was gonna, like, do you do this every year? I'm like, I'm hoping to. But they just thought it was really wonderful, and Claire printed this off for me on the library Facebook page. We had two wonderful comments, said this was such a nice event. So much work went into making it a success, and it showed. We look forward to attending next year as well. And another patron commented, a lovely community event.
It was really lovely.
And we just got a lot of really positive feedback. A new family came to the library and got cards. They just moved to the area in April. And that's how they heard about the library, was because of the Sweets with Santa. And other patrons are like, we knew about the library, but we didn't realize you guys were doing so much. We're so excited that you're so involved in doing. So we're very happy with that. And a lot of that is because Claire and I aren't just limping along. We have Taylor, who's really taken the reins with, programming and, promotion and whatnot, and that's going really, really well. But I know I have to do the official eval.
Quick question for you about the stats.
Yes,
Kind of an odd question, maybe even. I really like being able to see stats in front of my face with the graph, especially on screen, was a good idea. If you had to pinpoint the things that are gonna lead to increasing these numbers and improving the stats and keeping the graph going up, what do you think those things would be? And maybe you don't have to answer it in the immediate, but what do you think those things could be to increase stats and improve
well, what stats are you looking to increase? Because,
everything?
well,
We want constant improvement, right?
right, well, we're adding more, programming is a big thing. One of the things I think that really have helped turn things around is, hiring Taylor, because she's really good at that. She's, I mean, I did my best, but I was wearing two hats and it was a lot to juggle.
For sure.
She's just really good with the kids. She's going to the school now for Head Start. And that seems to be helping get the word out because she brings flyers, etc. with her. We're ordering books because we had a big stalemate on that. And so, ordering books, obviously, if we get more newer books, then that's gonna encourage circulation. Janice referred me to book page, is that what it's called?
Book page and libraryreads.org.
So the book page, I subscribe to the digital form. And that gives you an idea of what books are up and coming. And I've been using that to help with order my books, as well as Goodreads and Amazon and, patron recommendations. So I really think we just gotta kind of keep plugging with what we're doing. And, we just got our summer reading program stuff. We're so excited. Cause last year I found out about it when I got the poster in the mail in June, then it was, too little, too late, but now we've got a lot. And we're already making making plans. So I think we just keep putting it out there. We're gonna be at Maple in April. And it was huge at the Fall Fest. They were so happy to see us. We still had people walking up to us and saying, "The library's open?"
Yeah.
So I think it's just keeping us out there, and like I said, we try to do a post, just about every day we do something on Facebook, I think.
Yeah, we're pretty active. It's very rare for 2 days to go by where there isn't something going on.
Yeah,
Where do you see the most opportunity for improvement? Where do, which stat do you think has the most area that we can grow in? Which is the low hanging fruit that you
Yeah.
think?
well, I think, well, the area that needs the most growth right now is teen attendance. And that is something, if you look at the programs that we had and the programs that are upcoming, is we did our very first teen event in November. It was very successful.
Okay.
And they want another one, and we're going to start having a team game pizza night, once a month, and that seems to be really encouraging the teenagers. I got a lot of positive feedback on that, even when I went to the craft fair at the school the first weekend in December, and, ran into one of the teaching staff, and they were just like, yeah, the kids really, really love that.
Yeah.
So that's where we're trying to really get more to get the young people, seem to do pretty good with the kids and the adults. It's that middle, and we're working towards that.
Nice. Thank you.
This may be a little off base, but would the establishment of a friends group for our library, in addition to what they normally do in terms of some of the fundraising, also be impetus where they may be able to make suggestions and things for these areas? I'm not sure what friends groups.
I think it's primarily fundraising from what I've
That's what I
seen.
thought.
It could probably be whatever you want it to be
Yeah,
too,
right.
but I think it's primarily fundraising.
In all
So that's
honesty,
probably
I
not
don't know if I'm
an
ready
area
to
that
start
we're-
taking that on.
It's a,
Okay.
It's a process, and I don't know if I've got room in my schedule.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, if we start to think about a friends group, that's gonna be another board issue.
Okay.
we don't get to
I think
assign a friends group. We need people
We
to
got
come
people-
forward
I
and
think they
say,
create,
we want to be a
board members
friends
can be
group.
on it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a little premature right now.
Yeah.
But maybe in
Yeah.
the future.
All right, that's, I just, okay.
Just one more item to discuss. I have done some research search to just see what other libraries are doing. And, we have 32 libraries in Sal's, for Christmas Eve, and we're in there. 29 are closed or closing early. They're all closed on Christmas, which we are. And 22 close early for New Year's. And there's also no, delivery on Christmas Eve. And based on Thanksgiving, our numbers were dismal both the day before and the day after. Going to the library is just not something I guess people are thinking about during the holidays. And I was proposing that, the staff, who is our most valuable resource, and I don't mean just me, I really count Claire and Taylor. They make my life a whole lot easier as well. As additional paid holidays, at least in the years that they fall on a non-Sunday or Monday, it's kind of a nice, we can save money by keeping the heat down for a little longer. Lights are off. And, it's also just, I know y'all just gave us cards, and so I kind of feel like, they kind of shot this one, but I think it's just a nice way to say thank you for a job well done. You know, and I'm not saying that, like Taylor would just get her 5 hours. You know, Claire would get her 8 hours, you know, and I get 8 hours, but, you know, just to say, go enjoy your family, take an extra holiday. So. That was the other item.
Is that a conversation for executive session?
Is it?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, we can break this evening and discuss that. All right.
So, and if you have any other questions on the stats, the programs. We did have over 100 at our Sweets with Santa.
Okay.
So far, that's our highest attendance of an in-house program.
Okay, any other questions for Maria on this? We're gonna take up this from the weather and new business. You okay? All right, moving forward. We got two things on your business. There's the purchasing card. Jack, you were looking into that.
I sure was.
Yeah, what's? We gotta do something about this.
So, I looked at a bunch of different companies and talked to a bunch of different companies. The typical with these companies, and what this is, this sleeve has pretty much all the info on it, and the insert is from JP Morgan. But, talked to a bunch of different companies, but what the majority of these companies are is a purchasing card is a corporate card that goes in conjunction with a credit card. And so since it's a corporate card, and I get the sense that it's not something they want everyone to have possession of, there's usually $1 million revenue minimum. And so the majority of them are higher than $1 million. The majority of them are like 4 million or 2 million. Obviously, we're not in that category, but the cool thing about JP Morgan and the situation they're in right now is they have a contract with New York State that expires in 2027. And so they're in a position to offer us a purchasing card that actually fits our needs pretty well. I was able to have a Zoom meeting with a gentleman, his contact info is on the back, from JP Morgan, and very, very helpful. One of the things I kind of talked about was the fact that purchasing cards take maybe like 2 months to set up, because they want to make sure that all of our policies and protocols and limits are already input and there's no mistakes or issues afterward. They'd rather get up front. And so there is a little bit of a setup, but if you look on the back of that sleeve that the information's in, that's a list of all the things that they're calling for, that they're gonna need in order to initiate that conversation further. And so we can start working on some of those things. But this is the slideshow within that sleeve that he actually gave me and kind of walked me through a lot of these different things. Some of them are not exactly applicable. But there's actually, I forgot what they call it. I don't think they call it like rewards, but there's actually a component of this that, it plays in to that nature. But this is only for like, government agencies, because they do have a contract with New York State. And so this is what makes it so, such a good option for us. But unfortunately, it really is the only option that I could find.
Is there any cost associated with this for us?
He said no.
No, so basically they make it because there's money flowing through and.
Right. There has to be an approval process, and as soon as we get that info to him, he can start that process.
Okay. So what do you think we should do to go from here?
Start collecting the info listed on the back. And then when we get it, we can have Marion get in direct contact with him. His email is there, and she can start funneling that to him. I think like the W-9s are gonna be essential.
That's easy.
Those audited financials are gonna be essential elements that he's gonna need. You know, we're gonna want the financial approval first, so
Yeah.
we can get all the financial necessities to him, and we can worry about like the policies and the protocols and the limits afterward. But if we can get those financials to him, so he can start getting his wheels spinning on that.
Not have our finances been audited? I know we had somebody come in, but
We did not have a financial audit last year.
We had
Operational.
Operational.
right, that's what I thought.
But
What's an ERP system and what is that?
It's like a bookkeeping system, so we'd have to put him in touch with Tammy probably.
Yeah,
okay. And then type of spending, not necessarily travel for us, but there would certainly be purchasing issues and so on.
Right, some of these are applicable to like a credit card in conjunction with it, and he's clear that that's not what we're looking for.
So we would not need to have a credit card.
We would not need to have a credit card. They'll offer the purchasing card alone.
And the purchasing card is such that once a month, if I just very simply, charges are made to this purchasing card, once a month we get a bill, we pay it.
Yeah, it is kind of a line of credit because you have it for 30 days.
30 days,
You
but-
immediately pay it
But
off.
you can't.
You can't progress
go
without
past that
paying it
bill.
off,
You know,
right?
There's no like paying the minimum amount or something. It's,
Right.
You pay it, okay. Okay, and that, if we go this way, that eliminates a lot of the issues with this cash process and the debit card.
Right.
Trying to keep, petty cash and make it a lot easier for Marion to buy books and do other things. So it seems to me we ought to proceed on this. I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't. Do you?
For sure.
Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Does anybody have a problem with moving forward? So who's gonna do it? That's the next question.
So the 2024 W-9, is that a library W-9? or-
Mhm.
Okay, do we have to fill? Or was that something I'd have to fill out?
No, the first thing I would do is I would pick out all the financial stuff and I would throw it to Tammy and say, hey, Tammy, can you help me out with this? And see
Uh-huh.
what she says, and then what she says, can't help you out with this, can't help you out with this, then I would start investigating on how we could get that paperwork.
Right, now would I be the program administrator or would that be Tammy? I know she's the treasurer, she's the only signer on the
I think we can come back to those kind of things afterward. You're not gonna want to be in the position of administrating the whole system because
No,
your supervisor, so I'm assuming it's gonna be Ted, is gonna have to be over the entire system, and that would be in case there's a violation or something. It could be dual, it could be you and Colin. If there's a violation or something, they're gonna want someone to contact
Sure.
and talk to. That-
right, but I would be able to use the credit card.
Yeah,
the
it's
credit card would
your
be
credit
your-
card, yeah.
I would think that.
And if other employees need a credit card, like you said, you ran into that situation with Taylor, then they offer that too. You could do that too.
Yeah, I would think we would start out with just a card for Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make
So
more sense
I
to me
guess
for
then
control.
The one thing that we'd want to just to discuss, because what the way this came about was things were purchased because I was on vacation.
Yep.
So if we want to just have petty cash for her with receipts, or do we want to have a separate card for them to use when I'm on vacation?
I would think we'd start with one card
Yeah.
and keep it as a petty cash and keep enough in there, like when you go away. Anticipate, and
Okay.
I think that's the best way to deal with it. So
Well,
I
Russia
think we
was
should
very
move
good at
definitely
giving me
move forward.
receipts, so.
Okay. All right, so anybody, I mean, I don't think we need to make a motion or anything on this, I think we can just move forward. Everybody okay with it? All right, yeah.
So I will reach out to town.
All right. That's that, and then, just a quick thing, the alarm upgrade and additions. Nothing to talk about there, Mary?
Upgrades, no, we have to pay the deposits. He said they were booking into January and February.
Okay,
So, if I don't hear from him by the end of the week, because I'm assuming that he'll get the check by the end of the week, I will reach out to them and maybe for the
Okay.
holidays, but just get an update, hey, can we set a date now? I think that's typical. You don't get a date unless you set deposit.
all right. Now in the new business, we've got, is that okay for? Okay. On the new business, we've got the security camera bid status. Now you have only 2 bids on those at this point, still, correct?
Yes, I'm still waiting on one from, Spectrum. I did not have a chance to reach out. I was gonna reach out to them again today. Spectrum was one. I have one from Mahoney and I have one from, New York Fire. And then there was another one, that I gave you guys, I think, what was last time, was
That was
the
The,
DIY one. And when I mentioned it to Collins, he was like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with it.
And since we are kind of a handyman.
Yeah,
No,
so if we get a 3rd bid,
Yeah, so you should have one coming from Spectrum, I'm hoping.
all right,
I'm not sure what happened, what fell apart. But they came in just before I went on vacation and then they didn't get it, and I will reach out to them.
Don't we already have a bid from Mahoney on that?
We do from
We do,
Mahoney
yeah.
and we do from New York Fire,
we got 2.
so they'd like one more, like I said, Spectrum was supposed to give me one. But, I'm
Well,
not
you
sure
know,
what.
we-
I'm just thinking,
Good
if
faith.
Mahoney's already handling all this, we
Yeah.
might as well let them handle it all.
I agree with Colin.
So
Well,
there's no, we pick the phone up to one vendor, they're gonna
makes
handle
sense.
our problems.
how does their bid compare?
We're talking
Very
video, right?
favorable. Yeah, we're talking about.
Video in addition to security.
Cameras?
Yeah.
Right, there would be, it's my understanding that there would be no sound.
No sound.
And then the other thing is with Mahoney's, I actually have 2 different estimates from them. One would be like covering the area, the whole library with cameras. And then one where there'd be a fewer cameras in just key areas that we would also have to decide on, how many cameras do we really want?
Do we know what they're gonna look like and everything too? Are they gonna be like domes on the ceiling, or are they gonna be?
I believe they're like a little fisheye type ones,
Yeah, okay.
so.
I think Mahoney's been a company that we've worked with. They're quote unquote local.
Yeah, they're Glens
They've
Falls.
been responsible, they've shown up when they said and even if well, when you make a good faith effort to get 3 bids,
That's right.
right, which we've
Yes,
done,
We've done.
Yes.
even without the other one
We-
in front of us, we have the ability to move, right?
Absolutely, yes, yes.
Well, I just feel if we get another company in here, now they're gonna say, well,
Yeah,
this won't work with what you got.
Yeah.
So we gotta go here to
Yeah.
get it to there. You know,
So-
we're just chasing in a circle here. If we're really gonna do this, I mean, my theory is stick with one. So when we got a problem, this is who we're calling.
One
We haven't gotta worry about A, and if A can't show up, B's gotta be here before A can show up. It's just gonna be, I just feel a mess, but that's my theory. That's all.
Agree.
I agree too.
We had 2 different bids from Mahoney. We had the
Mhm.
14,000 and then the 7,000
Mhm.
for,
Right, because one was for fewer cameras.
Let's go with
The
the
one
one
that
with
was-
cameras.
The one that was 14,000 was like, everything, every area was covered. The smaller one is to like have one in the nonfiction room, because that's eventually gonna be a teen, young adult room. You know, not that teens ever do stupid human tricks. I know you would never do that. And then like the children's room, because children, well, they're children. And then like the front desk, outside entrances, the backyard, just key areas like that.
That
And
was,
obviously that would be something we can discuss, what everybody feels is most
Yeah.
important to cover, but those were the ones that I felt were. And the staff, we felt were the most important, was covering, where kids and teens are gonna be hanging
Mhm.
out
and outside.
outside, because we're hoping, the dream is next year to have some seating out in the backyard for patrons to be able to enjoy the Wi-Fi of the library, but be outside and enjoying that beautiful view we have out there, whether we're open or not.
What's the monthly expense associated with the 7 and the 14? Do you know off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head,
I have the bid
she's got it
right
right there. I don't have the bid in front of me.
I do. For the 7,
I know that the monitoring fee for the alarms went up, but, that's the fewer cameras are monitored, right?
right, I'm just not seeing what the monthly fee.
The one with the
I don't know. if
The
it-
smaller bid, the fewer cameras seemed very much aligned also with Robert's response in terms of what is.
You really need it, and maybe
What,
we start there. you
and,
know,
yeah, with what is,
Yeah.
prudent for a library to
I
have.
don't know if there is a monthly monitoring fee with the videos, because I think everything's stored in-house.
Oh, that's right, because if you do it out,
And so it would be
right.
in
I
my
remember that.
office, and,
And Robert said we need to keep the records, right?
We need
Yeah.
to keep,
and
Yes,
they would be. And they
Confidential.
have to be, they're confidential, they have to be subpoenaed, like you can't just, some random person can't
John,
just
can
come
we
in,
just look at these?
you.
These are the 2 Mahoney bids.
Yeah, you have copies of those in your folder there too, from the last couple of meetings.
I'm just wondering about like, we just went through, increasing storage space on like on all of our software and stuff. How are they gonna save the info? Is that gonna be on you, or is that gonna?
I think it
Are
almost.
you gonna do the
I
backup?
think it's
or
on
like-
us, yeah, they have a system that they'll put in the,
So what are you
back
gonna
of
do
my
when it's
office.
full? Are you gonna call them, or like, do we have?
that is a really good question.
Because it might fill up quick and it might not fill up quick, it
Right.
depends on what they give us.
Right, well, I know it's like some store, they save back, maybe they only save for 2 years and then they start deleting, I don't know, do
But
we?
we're not allowed
Yeah.
to delete, right?
Right, so,
Yeah, did we talk to them about that before they give us the quote? And tell them what the legal, because
I don't know if
I mean,
we
it
did, but
might
they
be
are
different than
happy
the
to come
public
back and
school.
chat with us again. Don came and met with us several months ago when we talked about it, the
well,
alarm.
I don't think he necessarily has to come in, maybe just give him the legal guidance on what the system has to meet as far as our criteria, and maybe make sure that the cost takes that into account, so we can make sure that we get accurate. And then what would it be to back up for us? If we fill all the storage space, what would it be to transfer it somewhere else? If we call you guys to do it, those kind of things. What do other people typically do in those situations? Do they call you, or do they have a tech guy that does it?
Right.
Those
It
kind of-
might even be something that Sal's can help us with too, so,
Thank you.
okay.
So we want to get those questions answered? and
Yes, so we wanna know what to do when the storage runs out, if there's a monthly fee and for backup. Did I get everything? Or was-
We want to make sure that they're understanding the legal requirements that our attorney said we have to follow as far as storing everything. It's not like we can delete things. And those kind of things. And if we have language from Robert, I would just send him the language and make sure that that estimate is compliant with that.
That's what you emailed to us, correct?
Get that for, yeah, get that for the next meeting.
Mhm.
Maybe we can have that for, maybe for the next meeting.
Yeah, I work on that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, good with that. Now we added, the inclement weather.
Yes.
Emergency closing procedures. You,
It is very much a, first draft.
Yeah.
I know, Janice had some questions that I did try to answer for her. I don't remember what they all were, Janice, so,
That's right.
I didn't know, one of them was about,
right here, right here.
fees,
Oh, okay.
um,
Have it on here.
and, if we're closed because of the weather or we're not, to disregard fees, we do not have fees on books and magazines, but we do have overdue, fees for everything else, the puzzles, the videos,
I didn't realize that.
STEM kits, that kind of thing. So those are still there. And if you look through it, you'll see some things that are highlighted in blue. Those are definite items that we want to discuss.
Mhm.
Because the facilities checklist for managing disasters and shut off locations. They suggested the water heater, electrical, gas. I don't even know if I know where all of those are. We may not even have all of them. I do know how to shut the furnace off. The switches, both switches are right at the top of the basement stairs. But if there's something additional that we need to do. I mean, obviously, some of these things are very rare to happen. We have earthquakes, they're rare. Same thing with tornadoes, but we had a tornado, was it a watch Claire last summer? Was a watch or warning we had? The
Oh,
warning
yeah.
is where.
That was because we did it twice in July.
Yeah, and we
Tornadoes
actually
down by-
had patrons and we're just like, well, what do we do? And I'm like, I don't know, there's no protocol. So we just kind of moved everybody into this middle room where there's no window. I mean, there was only like 3 people here, but. I would rather have a policy and a procedure that we don't need than to be in the situation and be like, oh crap, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, I think you put a lot of work into this, obviously, good work. I think that it's a policy and there is interior procedures included in it. So one of the things I'm very guilty of, you can ask Ted, and he'll affirm this, is I'm very wordy and I make things excessive and really comprehensive.
Right.
So, but the thing that I lose in all of that and what my wife is really good at is saying, delete all this and only put this out there. And she's able to narrow it down to what's really, really important. And sometimes that means that I take one document and I chunk it up into a few documents.
Right, well,
I think that we'd probably benefit from that if we just focused on inclement weather and then just focused on closing. And then at the end, there's some interior procedural kind of stuff like floodwater damage and plumbing, violence in the library, angry individuals, disorderly individuals. Those are things that you're gonna want the ladies to be able to get to like right away. So if that was a separate document that they could just say, hey, I'm gonna go right to this because this is exactly where I need to be, and they don't have to thumb through pages, I think that would be helpful. That's
okay,
just
so
my
divide this
thoughts.
into 2.
I don't know how many you got here. I mean, we could look at it, but like some of this stuff that is rare, I would put in one document. I would put in one
Okay.
policy, like the earthquakes and the tornadoes, where that we're out with snow issues, frequently,
Mhm.
sickness, power outages. I didn't,
We have had a power outage, but it wasn't, and that was one of the questions Janice asked, well, do you close right away? Now, some of this, I admit, I cut and pasted from other librarians who were kind enough to share their policies. Eliminated stuff that's just not an issue for us kind of thing, and they have a lot of technical stuff that we don't have, like panic buttons and a fancy system with the school that will call everybody. We don't have that.
right.
So I tried to cut and paste that and make that as,
Yeah,
Yeah,
concise as possible, but I mean, for power outages, we lost power this summer. It went out, it came right back on. You know, I thought that the timeframe, if we want to have a time frame that, you know, if the power stays out, say for 30 minutes, then we close. You know, kind of thing. I'm
Mhm.
happy to discuss that. That's why I said this is very much
Yeah.
just the first
Good
draft.
conversation, absolutely.
Um,
Frankenstein looks good here, so that's.
okay, well, that's good. That's good.
It says all means of communication. I wouldn't.
Where
put
are you
stuff-
looking?
Page number 1, communication. It says in the event of an unscheduled closing, all means of communication will be used. If it's a
Right.
policy, it's kind of set in stone. So I would make sure you're very specific, like, we're gonna do these 2 things or these 3 things. This is it. This is what you're getting.
Right,
Because if it's all means, it's like, well, you didn't, you know,
You put it in
get
the-
on my Snapchat or on my Instagram, you know what I mean? So
okay, so be more specific.
I would, especially with that, I would have, and what I find is with, especially with a closing, this is the one place you can go to and you're gonna have the information right there.
Right,
Right, so we put it on the website.
The website,
on our Facebook, and a
Facebook.
sign.
is typically,
Yeah.
well, if we're closing and not opening, I'm not gonna put a sign on the door, because if it's not safe to come in and open, it's not safe to come put a stupid sign on the door.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But now if we open and we close early,
Mhm.
then absolutely a sign on the door is something that we can do. We can also change the voicemail message if we're, you know, if we come into work and we open and, you know, a snowstorm comes or whatever, and we have to close, say, at 2 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock. And then here we can do those things.
Mhm.
But like back in April, when we had that snowstorm that wasn't supposed to be anything and ended up being something, you know, put it up on the website. We, Claire and I both have remote access for that. Putting it up on Facebook, that seems to be, and most people see that, but I can check, but I don't know if there's a way to remotely change the, outgoing voicemail or not. I don't know if we can do that remotely if it's on site, but.
I say keep it generic. If you have Facebook and website, you're golden.
It seems to be working pretty well. People do definitely seem to be checking that more frequently.
But another, and I'm sorry, but another thing that stands out to me is you have snow removal, contact backcountry. Like, that's a nice thing to do, but I wouldn't put it in the policy because that's locking you in. You have to do that at that point.
Okay. So you would just.
I think the best way to proceed is, like Janice made comments and then pass them on to everybody. I have a bunch of comments here that I could put down in writing and pass on and for everybody to consider. And then all of us, you know, let Marion chew with it.
I guess we could. It becomes a tangled web when you do that. It's like 2 people need to work on it and that's it. Is what I would do. I wouldn't have everyone do input. I would do 2 people work on it, narrow it down, get it to the semifinal, and then we can look at it again as a group.
I would be happy to
You-
go, to take your notes and Janice's notes and work with you
Okay.
to make it into one inclement.
All right, so if you have any
policy
notes,
and then-
notes to
Okay,
Maggie,
we'll figure out what else.
and
goes
she'll
in
work with,
policy.
And then,
Marion,
yeah,
and then we'll get it next, maybe the next meeting or. we'll-
right. And then, like I said, I don't know, Colin, you may have some input on the facilities checklist that, you know, in the event of, you know, water damage in the basement or an earthquake, things to shut off and
Right.
where they are.
Yep.
And then, it's listed a couple different places about contacting emergency contacts. I mean, obviously 911, but I mean, are you guys all emergency contacts that want to be contacted? Say, if the building's on fire and we have to evacuate, do you want to be contacted when things all calm down? You know, do you want a phone call? Do you want an email? Those kind of things. That's why it's highlighted in blue. And the big thing, and again, I know this is more of an in-house thing, as you said, Josh. A meeting place. Do we want it to be next door at the bank? Do we want it to be across the street? It needs to be just like at home. You know, if you evacuate your home, there's a place your family all meets, the same kind of thing, you know, we want it to be accessible and safe.
All right, so I think that's what, we'll.
I think what we have
pass
here
to you.
is one, we need an inclement weather policy, and the other things are more like internal procedures. And it's
Yeah.
not necessarily a policy, it's just guidelines for how the staff is going to handle these
Yeah.
situations. Okay.
And, yeah,
And so you'll take the stick on that. And
Yep.
Marion, anybody, if you have any other comments,
Yeah, you can send them to us.
ship them to Maggie and or Marion. Okay,
we're gonna send them to both of us.
Yeah.
all right, all right. That brings us
And I
to
can set up a
the
plan for.
public Section.
We have a door prize for our one. Oh, no, we have two public.
Any,
Sorry.
any comments from the public?
Good job.
Thank you.
I still have.
All right, so I suggested, and I think I'm reading a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss the two employment agreements, and we will return following that. Move.
Do you want me in the executive session?
Yeah, I think you're gonna answer questions about this. Motion to do that,
I'll second.
okay, all right.
I'll fight. So, it's, you said good job. Oh,